We're going to talk about real estate photography and sellers. Sellers, this is a helpful tip for you. Not always are you going to have a editor that's going to be able to go in here and remove all of these things. But what I want to talk about is why would we essentially have a house look like this on the outside and not, take advantage of the fact that this is one of your most expensive purchases and you're basically going to do the least amount of work in order to get the top dollar. In my opinion, when you're selling your home, this is important for you to profit. There's going to be a lot of people that want to buy this house, and if you don't do the necessary prep work, you're not going to get the top dollar that you're looking for. And being that this is the most expensive purchase that you're going to have to deal with in your life, why would you not want to get that money, the most amount of money you could possibly get for that house when you sell it? I mean, this house, they could have had mulch defining this natural area. That's not that expensive. Like over here, we've got like this just ridiculous amount of trash and yard waste on the side of the home. It's just insane to me that they would let this house look this way when it's time for photographs. Now, whenever I work with an agent, what I do is I'll send out a sheet that will tell the agents, hey, this is what you need to provide to your sellers, and this is the prep list. This is what they need to do when they're going to sell their house. You want them to follow this list in order to get the most amount of money for the property. Now, most people will take advantage of those recommendations, and those people will, of course, make the most amount of money on that house when they sell it. Other people, on the other hand, unfortunately, they do not, and it's unfortunate. But this segment's going to show you, what I typically recommend, how I typically edit photos in order to make them look better, to optimize the sale of the house. Now, granted, agents also like to their photos to be cost effective in price. So, I'm not going to do an exorbitant amount of work on these pictures. I'm going to do just enough to get them to where, they look okay. So that's what we're going to do right now. It's just enough to get the pictures okay, so that the listing agent can get this up and get the most amount of home showings to optimize, I guess, the sale price. So I'm gonna have to do a little more work on this one. This is gonna be fun. Anyways, obviously there are a lot of different things that you can do to make pictures look better. But at the same time, you don't want to lie. You don't want to be like, oh, this is not actually how it looks, and people come and look at the house, and there's cracks in the pavement and there are holes in the wall that you've patched. So I'm doing things that are obviously things that could be fixed. When they do a showing of this house, they'll know that, hey, that yard waste can be removed. I don't know why I just keep coming up with PNG. All right, so moving right along. Let's move along to the inside, or some of the other images we have here, just so I can show you some different techniques that I would do to remove these items. I mean, there's obviously so much crap here. I don't get it. I don't understand why these people would leave their house like this, knowing that a real estate photographer is coming to take pictures, and this is how it looks. This is not in my opinion, this is not acceptable. I mean, obviously they own the house, right? They're selling it, and this kind of stuff drives me nuts. This is the most expensive purchase you're going to make in your lifetime, and you're literally going to chance it on. Here, let's eat away at this a little bit. Right now we can get a nice crisp edge here. If, of course, this works, we'll see. Yeah, a lot of stuff to be done here. Hope you're following all of these moves. We're just gonna click and edit away as this we can go. Let's just pretend there was no spout. I mean, it's better than having a damn chair there, in my opinion, Alright, well. And now we have concrete pads. Yeah, let's see. Maybe we can just take... Well, here, let's fix this pad first. I have a few things here. This is the healing brush tool. I love this tool. It basically just allows you to select a texture and pattern, and then you repeat that pattern over an area where it doesn't need to be. This is the clone stamp tool, and in order to bring this all the way over, I'm going to have to take that little segment right there and bring that all the way over. Unfortunately, it's going to continue to look the same until we get... There we go. Well, at this point, what I could do is we'll take this, we'll clean that edge up right there, and then you use the clone stamp tool to blend it, and it'll make that look real nice and clean. Once we hold that down and cover all of this area right here, and then just grab that area, give it a little shadow, and now we have to obviously bring in the door area, which is right there. And it looks like there's I'm going to have to paint this one in, I have a feeling. But let's do like just a slight hardness right here for the door. And then we're going to have to paint in this segment here. Fact, I think what I'm going to do is take this concrete right here, and copy and paste that to go right up there, right? And then we're just gonna hide that for a second, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm gonna select this area right here, select the inverse, hit this layer right here, and delete the inverse. Now, when you're looking at this picture from afar, you would never know that that was even there, right? Right. All right, so we're going to continue. Let's flatten this image. Again, people, if you're going to sell your house, I know that this market is insanely overpriced and inventory is insanely low, but that does not mean that you're not that you essentially are going to get top dollar for your house. It's just that's not the case. Actually, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to have to let's figure this out because the angles are different. So let's try this. I'm just going to take this segment right here before it gets there, right? Copy paste, and then let's transform it and bring it all the way to the edge. There we go. And same for this area. Copy paste, transform, bring that over. Somewhat better, right? And now let's flatten that image. Let's go back in. And you can even use the selection tool where you select something and just hit delete and make sure it says content aware in the fill, and it'll just get rid of that for you. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do these things. Obviously there's a ton of trash in here. I mean, just using a bush hog, they probably could have cleaned a lot of this up. I'm just going to bring some of this grass over here, at least the texture of grass. And then, alright, so now we have a pad here that is a little bit gross. So let's just take this clean pad, right? And I'm going to cue off this area right here. And let's take that. And let's move it over here, right? And now let's make it bigger. And there we go. We're going to take this and do a little bit of adjustments. We obviously have to move this out. And it's getting bigger. That looks better. Alright, so same thing with this. We're going to unselect that. And then let's go ahead and cube this off. Right? Those are the four corners. And let's go ahead and make that. I'm going to take that and modify it with a feather of 5. Right? Now, I'm going to select the inverse and delete. Now, that's helped a lot. However, this edge right here is a little darker. I'd like to see that lighter, so we're going to come in with the dodge tool. And let's see, I want to be able to see that. There we go. Yeah, let's just lighten that up a little bit right there, right? Now we just got to flatten this, and let's come by and we'll clean up that other section right there. And so we'll take this tool right here, come across, just blend that in. So that looks really good. And then we can come in and clean up some of these other areas. Now maybe we want to add the grass to this area. Put it right there. Let's zoom out. You know, again, I'm not going to put sod in here. This house does not have sod, but had the owners of this house taken the time to clean, blow, edge, mow, and put all the crap away, it actually would have looked pretty good. Sky looks okay to me. I mean, maybe we could do like a shadow and highlights to maybe pop some of the Ooh, not that. We don't want to do that. What happened? Let's see. It's flatten image, image adjustments, shadow and highlights. Shadow and highlights can be a little too surreal. So what I like to do is, you know, make it look good, right? Get our shadow and highlights the way we want it. And then what we're going to do is actually take that as a second layer and just drop the adjustment down to a 50%, 48%, you know, somewhere around there. Flatten that. I think that looks good. And save. Will that save? Yeah, there we go. Keeps trying to save as a PNG. Not sure why. Need to figure out how it is giving me these fun saving issues. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to close that one out. Let's go to an interior picture, and I can kind of show you, you know, what we could do with some of those. Let's see. Okay, so when I shoot an interior, I like to see a few different things. All right, let me just say this. I would like to recommend to the sellers that they do a few things to optimize the way the interior of a house looks. Now, these are just standard HDR photographs. They have obviously painted this house. I saw cans of paint here and there. I personally don't know who recommended to them to go with a cream or off-white. That is not what anyone wants to see in a house today. They want to have a neutral color, like a Agreeable Gray by Sherwin-Williams. Something that's bright and neutral. Not only that, but bright and neutral also photographs very well, because the color balance of your camera can shift based off of the colors in the room. And if you have a neutral gray, you know how to achieve adequate color balance. One of the things that typically will throw a color balance off in a picture is lighting. So the reason I did not turn these lights on is because they were so yellow that it literally made the room look horrible. So when you have cream colored walls, yellow lights, and then wood colored floorings, and you photograph that, it's going to look horrible. So I chose to shoot this interior without any light, because I feel like, you know, when you're on a tripod and you're editing, you can make these look very good. So what I typically do with the ceiling is I'll duplicate the ceiling. I'll take an adjustment layer and we'll just first I'll desaturate it, see how that makes the ceiling look more white. Well, the ceiling is white. It should look white. It should be white. And another thing that looks really good is when you take that ceiling and you pop it just with a little brightness. That makes the walls and the ceiling have a little bit more contrast so that you can see between the two that there's a variation of paint color. Now I could go through, and I mean, if this is a very big edit, I would go through and color balance the walls and the floors. But this is literally like a 1,200 square foot home. The house is probably going to be on the market for literally a day or two. As soon as the listing goes live, it will probably sell. Now, why should I do all of these things, you ask, if the house is just going to like pop off the market that fast? Well, the reason I recommend that you do these things is because you want to have the best offer possible. So yeah, your house is a part of a low inventory, right? And you know, you're in a market where people who've been looking for homes, you know, so let's just say this: you come from California, right? And you're in a one-bedroom studio, and you're paying almost $400,000 a year. Well, you can get a house here for $400,000. And the funny thing is this house right here probably would have priced out at about, you know, $160,000, maybe even $120,000 a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But now this house is over $300,000, and in my opinion, that is ridiculous. But you know, people are going to pay it. They're going to come in and they're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money, and they're going to they're going to finance this thing, get a mortgage at 6+%. To me, that's just insane. But then again, my mortgage is at 2.5%, and I was able to lock that in before the market took a dump. So let's go ahead and save this one. Take that copy out. I don't know why it keeps wanting to do that. I just wish it would let me save. And why the default is not right. So there we go. So do not save. But another thing that I like to do, when you have rooms with, see this room right here, this gives you an idea. I had to turn the lights on in the bathroom in order to photograph that room in conjunction with the hallway, because you want to show in your pictures like how the flow of the house is. Well, this one shows you that it's more warm in here than it is in the other rooms. So I can copy that as its own layer, see? And we can go into Camera Raw, and you can dial that color temperature down. So now we have a very similar color temperature. And I'm going to flatten this. And another thing I like to adjust is my 4 corners. So this corner needs to move out just a hair in order to square the room off. And then you also see there's a little dark spot right here. Well, that's an adjustment layer that you can make with a curves palette. You just bring everything up a little bit, make it all bright, and then delete that adjustment layer, and then you come in and blend this area right here. Just that small area where you're getting that. It's not going to be perfect, but I do want it to be somewhat balanced. You want your homes to look very bright and welcoming. A lot of these older homes in the 80s just were, you know, they're all closed off. They're not open concept. Let's go ahead and flatten this image. And then another thing I like to do is, you know, the windows typically get blown out. The only way to really do the windows professionally is if you do window pulls, and that's where you go in with a flash and you pop these windows with the outside exposure set on your camera, and then you burst of light on the inside, and then you layer blend them in. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that you can watch when it comes to window pulls, but for the quick and easy method, I typically will edit them in with a multiply layer in Photoshop. And that just, it gives you a little preview of what the view out the window is. Sometimes the window pulls, honestly, in my opinion, just look a little ridiculous because it never looks like that in person. And I like it to look realistic. So there we go. We'll just save this. And I'm going to rename all of these files as the property address. Makes it easier to find. This image right here was just a second option that I took. I don't like it, so I'm going to save it as a just plain white background. Let's take that copy off, and there we go. Delete. And let's keep moving along. Let's see. All right. So here's another shot. This one I would definitely like to see a ceiling adjustment. And I'm not going to mess too much with that shade. I'll show you how to extract that from the image, because as you can see there's some of that lampshade in the image, and you don't want to see like a harsh line between the edit of the ceiling and the lampshade itself. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll copy and paste, and now let's focus on the lampshade. Now there's some cool selection tools in Photoshop. If you go to select by color range, I can just go in here and grab that, right, and hit, you know, range, and that's gonna grab that right there. So when I hit OK, it should grab just the lampshade. And then if you make sure you select in this area, just that, you want to just delete that area right there. All right. You can see it bleeding out a little bit, and that's okay. That's a delete. Now, when we adjust this, check this out. So adjustments, hue, saturations, dial down the color balance, and make it a little brighter. Right? See the difference? Cleaner. Doesn't look like somebody smoked in there for 18 years. And then on the base layer, let's go ahead and brighten that up. I feel like it could be brighter as well. And then let's go into these windows. And I don't really mess with the louvers. I mean, these little window pane louvers on the inside. Make sure you're grabbing the actual window. See, that window goes all the way to the edge there. And feel free, I mean, you can always zoom in more to make sure you're getting your selections right. But then again, like I said, this is a 1,200 square foot home. It is not a very expensive shoot, and we can't go to the customer and charge them $6,000 for editing on a, what the hell is this? Get out of here. So there's a couple things you need to learn when you're doing real estate photography: speed, quality, efficiency, and cost effective. So yeah, there's a lot of different types of photographers out there. You know, the kinds that want to spend hours and hours and hours and do the staging and all that stuff. In my opinion, it's not sustainable. There's, you know, when you get to a market like it is right now, you don't have people willing to spend that kind of money. Because the houses, I mean, unless you're in a multi-million-dollar range in the price point, it's not going to make a difference. Here we go. So if you want to bring those in, then see, I think that looks pretty good. Now let's flatten this and then brighten the whole thing together. And also, as you'll notice, the door here is off slightly on being square. So I'm just going to pull that node out so that our geometric, the visual squareness of the image is correct. And that last touch was just a quick auto levels, and then we brighten it just a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. And then we'll save that as a JPEG and replace. So back to what I was saying before about the sellers staging your house correctly. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to really optimize the shoot. And my favorite thing is, you know, or let's just say this, the most effective way to get top dollar for your home would be to actually what the hell happened there? My selection was not been good. Let's try that again. Try to do two things at once. Talk to you about staging your home as a seller and edit these images, and not always doesn't work the best. So let's try that again. So we'll edit. We're just basically going to take this door right here, copy and paste it, and pull that up. And it looks like we just need to change this direction to come down a little bit. Zoom out. Looks good to me. Yeah, that drawer was supposed to be there. Believe it or not, it was supposed to be there. Now, what we're going to do is select this handle right here, because that was also supposed to be on top of that drawer. And that's, we're going to need to do that in order to make it look real. There we go. Okay, so you're a real estate agent and you're listing a house, and this is the house. I'm hoping as a real estate agent you go to these homes and you look at the house and you say, oh, well, okay, well, you're going to get around this amount of money for it. Yeah, you may have a buyer come in from California and they will probably, you know, pay cash over asking, and that's great. How do I get rid of this damn thing? I hate that. All right. But why not try to get as much money as possible? Why not? Why not try to get as much money as possible? Don't you like making money? Don't you want the most amount of money out of your house? I mean, yeah, you can ask your real estate photographer, who's awesome, like me, to come in here and basically lie. Um, when they get to the house, you're like, holy shit, the hell happened? This is not how that house should look. This is not what it looked like. The pictures look so much. I'll be honest with you, I do get that a lot. The pictures look so much better than the house did in person. We used to shoot photographs for condos down in Panama City, and to date I've covered over 1,000 properties down in Panama City, all the way to Fort Walton Beach, and you you would be editing roaches off the wall in some of these places, and when they get there, they'd be like, "Oh, there's roaches. Who knew?" The pictures make this place look so much better than it does in person, and that's unfortunate because when they get there, they want their money back. But again, in today's market right now, this doesn't matter. People are, inventory is low. Things are 20 to 30% over value. People are going to come in from California and New York because those states suck, and they're moving away from the garbage policies that are run by the mayors and governors of those states, and they can come to Georgia and Florida and buy houses, for pennies on the dollar. To them, not to us. I mean, to us, this house is a ridiculous price point, and I would never buy this house for $400,000 or even $300,000. I bought my house, which is fairly nice, for $215,000, and now it's worth over $400,000. So I've had almost 100%. I mean, I've only owned the house since 2003, 2004, and within 10 years, actually no, almost 20 years. In 20 years, the value of the home has inflated 100%. Honestly, I feel like most of the inflation has been under the administration of Biden. So it's, if you were to look at a graph, you would see the spike over the last 2 years. Because I remember photographing houses last year. We would do 2 to 3 a week, because this is not my first day job. But we would do a lot of them per week, or several in my opinion. And they would sell within a week, very quickly, and for 30% overvalue. 30%. I mean, like, they would appraise for, let's say, 200,000, or let's say they appraised for 100,000, they would sell for 130,000. That's a lot, and people would be paying cash. They come in like, oh, that's nothing. I'm from California. We have to pay like that much for like a 1-bedroom condo. So, they're fleeing the crap cities and states and coming to enjoy much cheaper property value, even though it's inflated. Because if you come to Georgia, our property values are extremely inflated at this point, comparatively to the blue states. And well, this is what you get. You come in here, you buy this house that was once 140, 150, and you're paying $400,000 for it. And you're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. The floor needs to be replaced. The walls were like painted a color from 1985. I don't even know why they would paint the walls this color. This is just hideous. Whoever told them to paint that color that's always go gray. It's neutral. People can visualize, whatever paint colors they want. But when they have an ugly color on the wall, they can't really do that. Being that this is in here, I'm just going to go ahead and edit that in there as well. So we have the ceiling apparently has all these different like glow-in-the-dark stickers or whatever, and you can see that the ceiling is kind of yellowy. So I'll try to get this one to dial back in the color balance area because it's gross. So we'll dial that back and just make it a little brighter. Doesn't that make the room just feel more bright and big? I like that. So let's go ahead and flatten this image and save. And we're going to go to save a copy because we can do JPEGs. Boom. And then remove copy so we actually save over the JPEG. Alright, so there we go. So if you have the money, obviously I don't see why you wouldn't have the money if you're selling your house. You know that you're going to make a lot of money on this home. Why not, if you're going to paint it gray. If you're going to have it professionally listed and photographed, take all your light bulbs out and go buy a neutral Kelvin balance light bulb. They're, I guess, considered daylight. Let me pull up let's see, natural light bulb. Here we go. Natural light bulbs. That way you get pure light, not warm, not cold, but right in between. So this one actually shows a diagram right here. When you're shooting, you don't want the Kelvin scale to be too warm. This one gives you a better idea. See how this one's super yellow? Granted, yeah, if you live there and you're gonna want to chill and relax, you want it to be warm. But on the Kelvin scale, which let's just pull up the Kelvin scale. That's the color balance of lighting. You want to be right here, 5500 Kelvin. That's daylight. You want the interior of your house to, like, when you take pictures of a supermodel or studio shots, you're not going to use warm light or blue light. I mean, maybe if you're getting in a creative, artistic way, maybe. But you want natural, pure light at 550 Kelvin. It's basically colorless. And that's what's going to photograph better, especially when you have all gray walls. So just giving you an idea of what I would recommend for that. Also, make sure all your blinds are open. Make sure all the all your windows are clean. Your trash bins are not by the street. There's not a car parked in the driveway. You don't have debris in your yard. The floors are clean. If your house is vacant, great. That's great. But if you live in your house, put all the knickknacks away, all of it. I mean, some of the best houses I've photographed were actually, they looked staged, and they did a really good job in that manner. But some of them, man, even this one, being that there's no one living in it, it's pretty bad because it's just A, it's not clean. B, the color is not what I would. Again, this house is going to sell, no problem. But I just, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen the market and how it affects, how the market is affected by, what a seller does to prep the house. And if you email me or even respond or comment on this post, I will send you my sheet for free that basically shows what I would recommend you do when it comes to staging your house. And there's a lot of different things. I mean, like, some of the things were mentioned by other photographers that I felt were like great and good to mention. Some of them I felt like needed to be mentioned because of my own personal experience with doing this. So yeah, man. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, also, if you're a photographer and you think I'm full of shit, or that anything that I've said here is garbage, please comment in the bottom. I'm always open to new techniques. If there's something you think that I'm not doing right, or I should do it a different way, or you don't like my voice, please, I would love to know. Because as a small business person, we're always growing and learning and adapting, and that type of feedback really helps to, I guess, develop, innovation, within the business. So, and I welcome that. I welcome those comments, and I appreciate any feedback because, granted, I am not the best photographer by a long shot. In fact, I have a degree in photography, and I've been shooting for 20 years, so I've got good experience. But there's a lot of factors that go into being a good photographer. One of them is being full-time, and I'm not a full-time photographer, so that's one thing that does not make me the best. Aside from that, here, why is this selecting here? Flatten image, deselect, and let's square this off real quick. There we go. Square that off a little bit too. Yeah, it's not my full-time job. I like doing it. It's a passion that I enjoy. Looks like I need to adjust this as well. See that hot spot on that wall? Oh, come on, people. Oh, and as you may not notice, I'm also ADD, so when I see something, squirrel, and then I move on to another technique or editing or something that is drawing my attention. So we'll lighten this up. Hopefully I'll be able to zoom out and get a good, not that, I need this to be inside that parameter. So I'm going to click Shift and Command so that I'm isolating my brush tool in this area right here. And we're going to turn down the capacity to like 30% because I want to make this wall look less hot right here. It looks really hot. Like there's a hot spot right there. See that? I'm trying to fix that part. Oh, I guess that's better than before. All right, let's go ahead and flatten that. Save. All right, so a couple things play into being a good photographer. Doing it full time, the quality of your equipment, the quality of your customer. And when I say the quality of your customer, it's there's a couple different types of customers. There's the customers that are super cheap. They're not even going to hire you. They are going to take pictures with their phone. And unfortunately, for those types of people, they will probably never really fully advance their career as a real estate photographer because their customers, even if the pictures are good, their customers will see that they're using their phone to take the pictures and will realize, why am I paying this person such a large commission fee to be taking these photographs on their phone? So there's that. Then there is the cheap client, the one that wants to do this for like, oh, I got a photographer, he does it for $90, no matter what size the house is. And that person comes in, you're lucky if they shoot and even edit, maybe basically edit, the images from there. And then you have your run-of-the-mill average photographer that handles a lot of listings, and they do HDR images on every listing that they have. They're in, they're out, they're efficient, they're very good. They may use an outsourced editing company to handle that, handle the editing. And then there is also the top of the line. This guy is like, oh, he's amazing. There's a stager involved. They do window pulls. They do flambient photography. They edit to a extreme standpoint that is beyond what you would see from most photographers, and that's great. They're being paid for that. So that's the kind of photography that I would love to get into, but again, that is a lifetime commitment. That is something that you're going to say, this is a career for me. I'm going to do this professionally, and therefore you do. You know, you do it professionally to the extent of getting paid a lot of money to do it. I'm going to move this over here, and let's move it down because I want that to be underneath there. There we go. And then let's just drop this down because I wanted to kind of soften that a little bit. That wall is super dark. And we're trying to balance the color or the lighting in this room right here. As you can see, I'm creating these different layers. And then, yeah, so I've done the flambient and window pulls, and you know, I like to do a blend of HDR with flambient, and then add in the window pulls. And you can take an image and edit it to the point where it's like, my God, man, this is insane. This looks absolutely gorgeous. And that happens. That happens, you know, when you have the time to invest in that kind of photography. But like for me, you know, finding the customer that's willing to spend that is not always, well, it's very rare. And the reason it's rare is because you get yourself into a circle of life with this. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're working with cheap real estate agents, and I say cheap, let's say cost effective. If you're working with cost effective real estate agents, you're going to have an issue getting the more expensive real estate agents. Why is that? Because your portfolio is going to only show that you shoot for cheap real estate agents. So when you're trying to go after that customer that has, you know, a deep pocket, they're going to want to see that you have worked with that type of customer. And unfortunately for me, most of my biggest customer features real estate that's probably it's mostly in the lower square footage range. So there's not a budget for me to go in and drop, you know, $1,100 worth of photo, window pulls, editing time, and just really blow their mind. Now, from a Photoshop editing standpoint, I consider myself to be an expert because I can do anything in this software and achieve any look. If there was a customer that came to me like, hey, you know, I lost my photographer, I moved here from California, and the guy that I was working with, you know, he did really great work, but I need to find one here. You know, I'd simply say to them, it's like, well, let me see his work. Because, you know, if there's a style in which somebody shoots, I can totally adapt to that and achieve that style and mimic it. And, you know, I have no issues doing that. It's not something that's hard to do, in my opinion. Let me finish this one up. All right, so let's flatten this. And then I'm going to do a layer curves adjustment on the entire thing because I feel like we're still a little dark on this side of the room. So let's pull this up, and then we're going to pull across with a gradation tool. Not that way. There we go. Now, let's see how that looks. If you see how that kind of brightens the right side of the room up, I still feel like it's a little bit too much, so I'm going to dial that down a little bit. Let's flatten the image. And let's just make the whole thing a little bit brighter. Just a little bit. Just a touch. Save a copy. Go to JPEG. And save. So, man, that looks cool. I mean, no, it really doesn't. I mean, like, it's funny. I go into these houses and I talk to myself all day long about, my God, somebody lived in this house? Like, what? I mean, no, I'm not trying to be like a douche or anything, but, you know, you can be well below your means and still, like, have respect. Have respect for yourself in the way that you maintain your house, in the way that you maintain the cleanliness of your house. You know, it's health. You know, it's hygiene. Like keeping a clean house, and especially when you're going to sell it. I mean, you want this to present nicely. You want to be able to make as much money as you possibly can. And it just, I mean, when people leave a house like this, I mean, I'm like, man, I just don't understand. I mean, and this house honestly isn't the worst I've ever seen. There's so many worse homes than this. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it speaks volumes of the person's character and personality when you see the way that they live and how they um, essentially, you know, maintain the house. And some of these houses, they will be lived in, they will not be vacant, and you'll go in there and they will be absolutely just destroyed. I mean, and you're like, man, I don't understand why you're I mean, and then again, I come back to the fact that, okay, with this market, it doesn't matter. It really does not matter what your house looks like in this market. People are going to buy your house so fast in this market, and I'm talking 2023 July. That, you know, inventory is so friggin' low right now. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could take a dump on the floor and be like, oh, here we go, let's do this, and people will come in like, oh, that's nice. Does it come with that? Yeah, all right, I'll take it. And that's what you get. I mean, literally, it's that bad. Um, but, you know, still, I like what I do. Actually, I love what I do. I love to take pictures. I love going, you know, I've shot everything under the sun. Literally, I've done landscapes, I've done portraits, I've done products, I've done homes, like real estate photography. We do drone. And a lot of this stuff, I mean, you learn different techniques across the board that you can apply throughout your experience in the different mediums of what you're shooting, how you shoot it. Obviously, the quality of your equipment is a big is very important. It's very important to have good. I just upgraded my camera to the new Canon R6, which is super nice. I mean, one of my the guy. So we had our wedding shot by Jamie Howell, and he is an incredible photographer. He was an engineer by trade, left his day job to take photography to full time, and so he specializes in weddings, not just any weddings, but Indian weddings specifically. And you know, with the whole, it's like almost an entire week type process, and they have you know, elephants and crazy. I mean, just think, I see him post the stuff online, and it's incredible. I mean, so if you ever need a wedding photographer that's just absolutely, I mean, incredible. This guy not only has, from an engineering standpoint, has mastered the aperture, as ISO settings and shutter speed and how they all integrate together, but he also works very well with off-camera flash. This is something that you don't typically see a lot of photographers do. Unfortunately, they don't take advantage of off-camera flash, and you don't get the results from photography that I think are that you can get without using off-camera flash. I mean, off-camera flash enables you to get rid of a lot of grain. It enables you to creatively light the subject. It gives you a lot of ability to post-edit. You know, you get a lot more information in your raw files when you're post-editing. So it's one of those things that I highly recommend as a photographer that you learn to do at some point. is learn how to use off-camera flash to your benefit, and look into it, because I mean, he's definitely mastered that. I don't know where I was going with that, but he's the one that told me about the Canon R6, and I was like, well, if it's good enough for you, man, I totally would love to buy that camera. So he helped me find one online. It was not brand new. It was through a used website that he recommended, and I was like, oh, that's great. I was like, you know, I'm getting this whole, you know, the camera body and flash and all that stuff for, you know, significant you know, it was like $400 or $500 less. I mean, I think the body's around $2,500, and I think I paid $1,800 for a lightly used setup. So I was really pleased with that deal. And so far, having this camera, like the quality of the images right out of the camera are so much more. They're so much more. It's so much better. I mean, like the amount of image that you have to edit comparatively to, why is this not working? I'm trying to figure this out. Let's see that. Um, so I was shooting on a Canon 5D Mark II, and this camera's it's got to be over 8 years old, and it's still a good camera. Don't get me wrong, it really is. It's a very good camera, but it's not the best camera. Not because technology on a day-to-day basis changes so exponentially that when I moved to the R6, it was such a noticeable difference in the quality of the camera and like how it produced the images and the amount of information that I would have in the images to edit. That was really nice. I was not used to that. Why is this stopping right there? I guess that's because my let's zoom out and see if that's noticeable. Try to figure this out. Let's see. Super yellow. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try to edit this from a different standpoint. So let's do this. I'm going to go to select color range, and let's just focus on this right here. And we're going to dial down the range because we just want this area right here. All right. Let's see. Does this work if we take that? Let's see. What do we get? I think that did pretty good. It's really soft too. So let's go in and do an adjustment layer, hue saturation, and just dial that down. Oop, we're on the wrong layer apparently. Let's go to image, hue saturation, and let's dial that down. There we go. Just want to pull some of the yellow down. And then maybe even brighten it up some because it does seem kind of dark back there. There we go. And then if we wanted to affect the entire floor in the color balance, we could do that. But then again, that's another selection. So let's go ahead and flatten this image so that we have the discarded layers. I'll start down here. Let's just see. We're going to play a little bit here because this is fun. This is something I like to do. And granted, no, my selection is not going to be exact on this because we're just, with this selection, I'm only going to affect the color balance. I'm not doing anything other than taking the floor, and we're going to play with how can we affect the floor's color balance to where it's more consistent. This piece of furniture should have been thrown in the trash. It is a piece of trash, and it is in the house that you're trying to sell for a exorbitant amount of money. Let's leave more junk in here so that we can not optimize how much money we make on our home that we have for sale. So it'll be my luck. They'll be like, come back and be like, oh, what an ass. I can't believe he said all those things about us. I was in the hospital. I had no way of doing all of these things. I was like, well, then why are you selling your house? I don't know. My patience is very, very, very shallow when it comes to when people just, they don't, in my opinion, do what they should do. I mean, like, it's, what would the expectation be for you if you were, alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this later, right? I'm shifting gears now. Let's talk about the editing again. So we're going to take this and we're going to go into our shadow and highlights. Now, do we want to select a part of the floor? I think what we could do here is do this. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give 2 layers here. Let's just copy this layer and let's just turn these off. Now let's do a Gaussian blur. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing a Gaussian blur. The blur is going to take the color that we see and it's going to create one color that we can sample. And I'm going to pick my favorite part of that. So let's do this. Let's go to the color sampler. Alright, so these look pink to me. Pink. When can we get to brown? Okay, so that one right there looks brown, right? Let's take that color. So we've got the brown color. Let's select the floor from the other layer. Let's add another layer, and then let's go in with a paint bucket and just put that down over the top. We can delete that blurry layer, and let's bring this in. Now let's select our, we'll go to hue. I think there was one I saw that I really like. Now that looks good, but obviously that's not, it's not right. really it's going to be not in difference, it's like saturation or color. So color, color definitely kind of balances the floor out. And it's such a minor adjustment in my opinion that, you know, I like how it gets rid of the blue in this area, but we still have the light coming through. And there's a way, apparently, I've heard other photographers say that if you use like a UV filter, that you can fix this splash of light. I've got a UV filter on this, I'm shooting this, and I don't seem to have figured that out. So we have this set to a 43% opacity. I'm just going to, you know, keep it around that. And then I think that's probably good. So let's go ahead and flatten this. And again, you know, we're just making minor adjustments to kind of clean this image up. It's obvious that we don't need to do this usually on a house that's only 1,200 square foot, that you're, you know, you're not going to, you know, charge the customer an arm and a leg on. This is, I say arm and a leg, so you're not going to charge them for all of this time. I'm doing this as a training video and more as an informative, hey, this is what I recommend. Also, you know what I noticed? This light fixture up here is gone. So what you can do with that is, let's take this one, right? And again, you probably shouldn't do this in the sense that that light fixture is not there, you know? Like, well, that's a lie. That's like you go to Burger, well, yeah, it's the same thing. You go to Burger King, and that burger you're gonna get, it ain't gonna look like that when it comes out. And honestly, no one's really gonna notice in this picture that that light fixture is gone. They're gonna notice a lot of things when they get to the house that need to be addressed, and the last thing is gonna be that light fixture. There's too many other things right in the direct eye of the consumer that's going to be like, oh, God, man, you have to repaint this whole place. All the flooring needs to be redone. What else do we have? The blinds need to be redone. The windows need to be redone. The stippling on the ceiling, that can go. God, did I just save that as a PD? Oh, God, this is driving me nuts. I'm going to have to look up on Google and find out how you get rid of, or how you set the default saving to just JPEG, because apparently I don't have that done right. Okay, so that's obviously a closet, and oh, here we go. This is kind of cool. Here's another technique for when you have like random wall ports with wires hanging out and stuff. I'll show you what I do. I create a new layer, and then I create a brush, right? Make sure the brush is a diameter slightly larger than the substrate, and make sure you have it 100%, and you're just gonna paint over it, right? Just like that. Now you're gonna want to get that shadow too. In these bigger areas where it's literally just wall, you can go to town. But you want your selection to be really tight in the areas that have a lot of, you know, detail, like trim or flooring. So Command and then click on the layer. It'll highlight that selection, and then go to the other layer, hit delete, and do content aware. It should fix it. It's not always perfect, but it's a good start so that you can come in afterwards and just kind of touch up here and there, you know. And the best way to touch up is to just come across here with the actually just grab that edge, just the edge. Maybe go a little further. All right, let's try that again. All right. Again, when you zoom out, it's not going to be that noticeable. I may need to just, let me see, that area right there is a little pain in the butt. Let's see, will that fix? Ah, there we go. All right. Let's say, you know, close enough for government work if we wanted to do the floor in here again. And here's another way to select the floor. Sometimes you'll look at something like, you know what, there's a much easier way to select this. Boom. Yeah, this is, hover over that. That is the quick selection tool. Yeah. Very nice, right? Copy, paste. Let's go in and do a hue saturation, colorize, and let's see if we can find the brown that we think it is. It's a little more of a reddish brown. Maybe darken it a little bit. Let's turn it on and off. It's a little more red, honestly. Color balance. Let's see, is that close? Not really. But once we dial it down and make it just a hue or color, so there's the color. It's basically just cleaning, it basically just cleans the floor a little bit. I mean, you can play with it. Once you get a technique down, remember it, and you can honestly select, you know, if you're wanting to put in an exact color code, you can do all the floors in the same color code with the same, you know, opacity and the same overlay filter, and that way you'll have consistency from shot to shot. But it also depends on whether there's a window in the room, so you got to kind of adjust for the variations of the shot. So let's go ahead and flatten this. Discard hidden layers. I don't even know what that is. Save. Save a copy. JPEG. Alright. Replace. Alright. So, oh, look at that. More toys and crap. Nice. I mean, it's really pretty backyard. Lots of, I mean, say it's pretty. It needs a little ChemLawn, you know, somebody come out and spray for weeds. Let's try something here. I want to see if this content fill aware tool will take this out, because it's a pretty cool tool when it works, right? When it works great. Also, you know, as a photographer, you know, I feel like we're going to get into some really cool artificial intelligence editing, where, I mean, you could probably just say, hey, remove the seesaw from the picture, please, and it'll do that. So keep an eye out on that, and if you have figured out ways in which to do that, share it with me, because I'm really curious to see how AI affects the industry. I mean, granted, AI can't pick up a camera and walk into a room and take a picture of a room. That's something that they're never going to be able to replace, which is great because that kind of gives a little bit of job security. But, you know, AI does exist, and it's going to help to make our jobs a lot easier if you embrace it and find the right tool. So there's going to be a million different ways to find AI editing technologies out there, and they're coming down the pipeline. They're probably already here. I see, you know, different advertisements for this, that, and the other, but I would like to have you recommend, if you've used AI, how you like it, what you recommend is a good source for AI. Look at that. I mean, it ain't perfect, but man, it looks a hell of a lot better than it did. And you can always go in here again after that and just, you know, let's do away with some of this crap, you know. Just get you a bigger editing tool. Boom, boom. See that area right there? That's kind of gross. Let's fix this. Ooh, wait, not that. There we go. So there we go. And then maybe even come in here and let's see, can we edit that out just a little bit? Nah, it didn't really work that well, did it? But then again, I mean, I can't do everything for the editing. You know, it's like you can continue to go on and on and on, and it's just, it's a bit much. I mean, like I can come in here and like let's clean up this edge right here. Like this guy needs to have, you know, pressure wash this area. Let's just do this. And then you take your clone stamp tool and we're going to take it and we're going to just push this out. Alright, look at that. Oh man, that's such a crisp edge. It looks so good now. And deselect. And then let's go in and just cut that off, that little edge off so it's nice and smooth. And fix that one right there. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And man, maybe add a little more grass over here. There we go. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. Maybe this guy right here. Ah, yeah. I mean, I continue to take this shit out, but I mean, literally, you can't go and go and go and go and go. It's gonna drive me nuts. I really need to do that. I really need to do it, my friend. So let's just do this. We'll select a really tight area. Like we don't want to get rid of all of the bugs or the what did I say? The bugs. Let's make this hardness down. You don't want to get rid of all the this crap, but some is okay. You know. Again, you got to think these people know that that can be cleared out of there. They can pressure wash that. It'll look great. There's going to be a little TLC with any house you purchase, so that goes into it. But my job is to make it look as great as possible, so that you know you come in and you get top dollar for it. That's what my job is, and I like doing what I do because it's fun. But yeah, if you guys have techniques or different vendors that you would recommend for post editing that does this type of stuff, obviously, I've tried them before. Wasn't too impressed. I mean, it's a lot of work. Look at this. My God. I mean, like, seriously? I mean, what are we doing? Why? Oh man. I mean, I could. Do I want to mess with this? I don't know. I mean, I could totally take all that out of there. I mean, it would be a pain in the ass, but man, it could be fun. No, it wouldn't be. Oh man. Well, let's see. Do we do it? Do we do it? No. Oh, well, I mean, I guess we can do some things. Like, let's clean up some of these spots on the walls. Couldn't you guys get some base plates for the wall receptacles at least? Oh, that's creepy. Barbie straight chilling there, huh? Alright, so when you're dealing with highly textured areas, just select them and then do the content aware. Because that actually will make it look somewhat realistic. Do we want to try this with content aware? Try to get the shadows in there too, right? Content aware, mattress removal. It's gonna look retarded. Ooh. Yeah. So let's see. Well, alright, so we got one wall that's kind of crisp. Let's do this. Let's start here. And let's come in with I don't even know. There's going to be some fading that needs to happen here. Let's see. No, let's not make it that big. But I feel like we need to have some kind of, and then I don't know. Maybe if we're going to do this, we may need to do a full selection of the wall. Right? So full selection of the wall. And then let's go in and see how we have all this area right here. There. Now we have a smooth transition. Now let's edit in the shadows, because there's a definite need to burn in the edge of the room. Right? And then let's do this. Same thing with this wall. And then we gotta come in and let's tap this in right here too. And then we're gonna have to take that and let's blend. Do like a nice little blend. Sound like Bob Ross the painter or something. We also need to add in our shadows on that. Let's see, where is it? Well, here, we're gonna have to like lighten this up a little bit because it's still like really weird. And now let's burn it in. Okay, so, and then what do we have? We have this little fucking tiny ass thing there. And then maybe this one. Let's make that at least the size of this. In fact, that needs to be, let's do this. We're going to put this on a second layer because I'm going to need to blend it, you know, down that wall. Right? And let's select this color. Let's blend it down. No, that's not that. That's not that color. Let's do that one. Right? So now we have, and then to this bad boy right here. Let's put that one below because it's a different color than this one. It's kind of like that molding at the top there, right? Alright, now let's merge the two of those and let's do a delete, a smooth delete. Let's make this pretty friggin' big. There. Just a soft delete down that edge. Again, this is not going to be perfect. I'm not trying to make it perfect. What do we do now? That's the flooring. Can we fix it? Will it let us just do flooring? No. Probably not. No. Can we take the flooring from here? Let's pretend like we're just going to move this bad boy over there. And let's make that blend a little bit like that. Right? I think this may work. And then let's do like a feathering of that edge. Actually, is there a way to get that underneath there? Alright, so now let's just cut it up to the edge. And it looks like it's getting a little dark in that corner, so let's just, no, we don't need to do that. We need to, now let's take, we need to put a hard edge on that, dodge that edge. So this is the edge, right? We gotta dodge this whole panel right here. And then, man, that corner right there sure is weird looking. Or do we just, maybe we dodge that area. Let's go to the dodge. It's a little bright, you know, it's a little bright in that area. We want to like get that window. And then pull this down just a little bit. There we go. Let's flatten it. Let's just flatten it. It looks so much better than it did before, you know. I'm not, I mean, I could work on that and get it right, but I'm not going to. Too much. Too much to do. Now can we take this box out? This may be a very easy content aware removal. Let's see. Close. But not really. Man, I don't know. Here, let's deselect that. And let's get that line, make sure it's straight, right? I'm going to select the inverse, copy it, and we're going to basically create a blank slate, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the main layer, and let's find out where we have like hardwood floors, right? And let's take it, copy and paste that, move it over all the way to the edge, right? And then you're going to have to like get your angle right. There you go. And just move it out a little bit, and then let's do a layer blend around the edge of that. There you go. Get that shadow in there. That looks good. And then boom. If I don't say so myself, that was pretty good. Now let's flatten the image again. I'd take that toy out, but honestly, I just was showing you what I can do. That's it. That was all this was for. I will mention that you know, that looks actually pretty damn good. I think that there could be a little bit more like burn in right here. So let's do that. Let's just give a nice dark edge. Not dodge, burn. And then let's make this smaller. Yeah, because it's right against that edge. You know, you want it to, and then honestly, probably a little bit more in that area because it's in the corner of a wall. There, that's better. And then, I mean, that window is literally, I mean, if I try to make the view outside the window more visible, actually before we do that, let's just remove this little turd right here. Let's remove that guy. If I were to make the view out of this window easier to see, it's just going to make, because that window is nasty. You can tell how dirty that window is. It's just going to continue to make that look worse. I mean, so we'll bring it in a little bit, right? That's okay. And then let's flatten it. And I guess we could go ahead and hit up the ceiling again. Again, no, we didn't do it the first time. Let's just hit up the ceiling for the once. Copy, paste. Let's dial back the color balance on the saturation. Not that much, just a little bit. There we go. And brighten her up. Man, that makes the room a little bright, right? I like it. I mean, the only other thing I could think we could do, kind of like, let's just go ahead and select the floor with the damn piece of kids plaything in here. Let's just do it. Right, let's just do it. Let's get that butterscotch color in there. And what is it? Color? Which one was it? Color, saturation, pin light. Let's see which one looks the best. That doesn't seem to do anything. Let's take it out. Let's change this to hue saturation. Colorize. There we go. Darken it a little bit. Okay, so now we have that, which, in all honesty, looks pretty good. But it ain't real, so we're going to dial it back to 50%. So we just want this to be a layer effect. So we're just gently addressing the floor, making it look more consistent and uniform in color balance. Alright, so, you know, I have whipped this dead horse to oblivion. I mean, I could keep going and keep going and keep going. Even, you know, I'm not. I'm done. I'm out. Peace. So let's save a copy of this. Remove copy. Make it a JPEG. And hit save. Replace. So that original image is gone forever. Excellent job, Paul Perdue. Excellent job. And let's see. Wow. Now let's do this side. No. No. I mean, like, seriously, look, I mean, just take it to Goodwill, people. Come on. Just, you know, when the house sells and you have like $200,000 of equity in the bank, like from the equity in your house, so you have 200 grand in the bank because you only paid 120 for this house 4 years ago. Just buy new shit. Throw this crap away. I mean, what the hell do we have here? We have paint. Obviously, that didn't really help the house that much, so that can be thrown away. This box full of toys. Your kid's going to want new toys anyways. Well, I know mine do. They don't play with that shit anymore. They got an iPad. I mean, what is this, 1995? Yeah, no, I mean, I took my kid's iPad away for like a week, and believe me, the toys were all, they could not get enough of actual toys at that point. It's kind of great because they actually played with them. I'm not even going to adjust this one. I mean, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, I could like take this out of here, the mattress. Oof. Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Will it go? Hell no, we won't go. Yeah, that didn't work very well, did it? Well, I'll say what did work. I mean, I don't think it looks that bad. Let's just go in here and fix the floor. So again, select inverse, copy, paste. So now we have a layer that is, the floor is gone. And then we're going to take just the floor. This actually looks pretty good. Let's copy this floor. Alright, and let's move it over. And let's take it. And can we make it wider? Yeah, we can make it wider. There we go. And since that's a really dark side of the room, let's go ahead and darken that floor with curves just a little bit. Now we just need to, I guess, feather this in. I'm going to feather this edge in, and you're going to see, wow, that looks really good, Paul. I like how you feather that in. Now what I use the paintbrush tool, black and white, to paint in and out. Now there's a certain richness to the floor, so we need to kind of, I guess, address that if you were wanting to. Let's see, does it need to be not darker? What does it need to be? More contrasty. So let's do a curves palette and just do a little S curve. See how I did that? Little S curve, add a little bit of contrast to it. And then I'm just going to drop the opacity down a little bit. And now let's flatten the image. And then we'll select this area right here, which is just a little weird. And it should be able to make its own, yeah, perfect. Look, see, we got rid of the mattress. Yay! Do we want to like fix this wall any? I don't know. What will we do? Maybe we can, I don't know. Let's just select a color over here, right? And then let's, there. That looks like a shadow right there. That actually cleaned it up nicely. And then, oh, wow, there's a hole in the wall. We'll let them find that upon inspection. They don't need to see it in the picture. It's kind of random. This room is clean. Well, as clean as it's gonna get. Let's just say that, because I am moving on to the next image. Let's move that copy out of there. Boom. Alright, save. Yes, if you are a homeowner and you are selling your house, take all this shit out of it first. Take it all out. Because people cannot visualize their own crap in a room, let alone when you have all of your crap in a room. And it's really weird how that affects the sale of a house. Not today, but in usual times. This would really affect this. I mean, people would be like, I mean, we used to have to really try to get people to buy a house. My God, what is happening here? What, do they use a buffer on the side of this friggin' cabinet? What the hell? Well, I'll say this. One way of fixing that would be to just do, actually let's do this. Let's take a selection of that. I'm going to select the inverse and let's reverse this and just cut this nice and clean. That edge is just what's driving me nuts. Just that edge. And let's just take a curves palette and darken it. Oh my God, already better. I mean, just making that darker so that, you know, it's not such an eyesore. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but a lot of times you probably won't even see that in real life because the camera picks up a lot of detail. It does, because it's a good camera. More than likely this kitchen just needs to be burned to the ground. This is horrible. Oh look, can lights look good though. It's not bad. And we got a little leaf on the floor. Maybe take care of that real quick. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Maybe that little rat nerd or rat turd. Rat nerd. Got that wrong. Oh my gosh, they could have just cleaned this thing too. I mean, just bring in a cleanup crew, guys. Come on. Like, really? Like, remove the old junk furniture, take your shit to Goodwill, gray walls, clean. Clean is important. Let's clean the house. 5,500 Kelvin scale bulbs. Natural daylight bulbs. It's what you need, son. I'm telling you. I'm giving you the cues. Oh man, what is going on with this roof? I feel like these lines that you see in the ceiling, is when a house has been essentially uninhabited and they turn off the air conditioning. Well, the 2x4s in the ceiling will essentially sweat. They get really, really hot. And if you can see, I mean, hell, when I bought my house, the same thing happened. I had to repaint all the ceiling in my house, which is what needs to happen to this one. Honestly, if I were to buy this house, this would be a great house to come in and remove all the stippling. Just go ahead and they spray it down with like a water sprayer, and it gets moist, and then it just after a few minutes of it saturating into that spackled whatever it is, mud, it will literally scrape right off. And then you come back and you sand it really good, and then you paint it with a nice sealing paint. Let's brighten this up a little bit. Yeah, it's already better already. Oh, and then let's square it off. I need to pull this node. Oop, not that one. We got to actually merge these together. Let's flatten the image first. Layer, flatten image, and select all, and pull that out just a hair so we can cube it off. Make sure it's nice and square. All right, let's just go ahead and save that. I mean, there's not much hope for that kitchen. Anyone that buys this house is going to realize that needs to be just torn out. Frankly, I would knock this wall down and do a nice big island, make it more open concept. If, of course, that's not a load-bearing wall, it would be really kind of cool. I think you could really turn this house around, make it nice, make it something someone would want to live in. But it's going to take some work. So, well, I'm going to continue to edit these images, and I appreciate your time and watching me do this. Hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully I will learn something from you. If you tend to leave a comment, that's great. Subscribe, like, and I will appreciate you even more. We're going to try to eventually get monetized, hopefully, so I can make money doing this on top of making money. Wouldn't that be cool? And shoot me an email at paul@PurdueVision.com. That's PAUL@PurdueVision.com if you guys want me to send you my pre-seller checklist. It's pre-staging checklist for the photography, basically all the things I recommend you do before you list your house for sale, or before you get it photographed at least. And then we can go from there. And obviously let me know if there's anything that I can help to improve on my end. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.